Hello, hope you've had a good week and welcome to episode 12 of Benjy's Cafe podcast with me, Ben Harlow. Joining me in Benjy's Cafe this week is the yoga and Pilates practitioner, Megan Barnes. Megan trained as a performer at Barbara Jackson Theatre Arts Centre in Fleetwood before achieving a diploma in musical theatre and dance at Performers College in London. Her credits include performing at Wembley Stadium at the FA Cup final and the NFL opening ceremony, and numerous pantomimes for both Kudos and UK productions. She has travelled the world working for Carnival Cruise Line in Miami and as dance assistant launched their newest ship, Mardi Gras. Megan now specialises in teaching yoga and Pilates at classes and retreats across the Northwest, helping clients to cope with the stress and anxieties of modern day life.
I think it's almost like a place people can come if they've, had a rubbish day, and it's a place they can come and they can really tune into their bodies, tune into their minds. It's funny when you see the aura of people when they leave, they're just like it's calmer voice. It's like, I needed that. That is why I do it, to make people feel like that.
Let's find some calm and inner peace. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe podcast, Megan Barnes.
Hi.
Good morning, Megan. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe podcast. How are you?
Thank you. I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. It's great to see you. You've had a nice start to the day.
Yes, I'm trying not to drink coffee at the minute, which is quite hard. But I do feel like it just makes me a little bit maybe over alert sometimes.
Right.
So I'm trying to cut it out, and if I have it really early, but I've not had one this morning. But you get like withdrawals. It's like you get almost like a headache from.
Is the ideal of having it earlier just a chance for your body to settle then?
Yeah, because it apparently stays in your system. If you have it like past 3 o'clock or something, I think anyway for me, I struggle to sleep at night, even if I don't go to bed till like 10. So if I have it really early, it sort of is okay. But after 10, 11-ish, I don't know, it just seems to keep me awake and alert too much.
So you'll have one coffee and then just water, is it? I guess you place a lot of importance on staying hydrated, don't you?
I try and drink a lot of water a day, but I've got into drinking matcha. I don't know if you're into that.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, so that's meant to be a more of a natural, they say it's like a more of a natural caffeine, but there isn't any caffeine in it, but it doesn't give you that kick like coffee.
But do you feel a little lift from it? It does give you that little lift.
If you have it consistently, I think it does give you more just like a natural energizing feel, but it's not like that instant caffeine rush that you get from a nice cup of strong coffee.
A nice cup of coffee. I'm on my second today. I try to be good. Well, I'm getting old, Megan. Crikey, I'm nearly at retirement age, so I need 2 or 3 to get me revved up for the day.
Have you shaken? Have the shake.
Oh, crikey. It's so lovely to see you. We did Aladdin together at the Blackpool Grand Theatre last Christmas. My goodness, it seems ages ago. Hasn't the year flown?
It's May. How are we in May? It feels like we were just there, but at the same time, I'm like, what? How are we nearly halfway through the year?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But we had some fun.
It was such fun. And I just want to say it was so nice to work with you. And what struck me, Megan, you had such a wonderful maturity about you, and you seem to have a real ability just to stay calm amongst the madness of Panto. Crikey, Panto it's officially conquers bonkers. The schedule is busy. Yeah. It's a lot, especially at Christmas time. It's wonderful, but it can be mentally exhausting, physically certainly exhausting. I just thought, crikey, you just stayed so calm. I wondered if that's something that you consciously worked on during a job or during life, or that's just you.
No, I think I'm a very laid back person. I think I always have been. But I think maybe over the last, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, I've definitely become more actively trying to sort of be calmer and more relaxed. I think sometimes I definitely have a more well, maybe when I was younger, more of like a fiery personality, and
Yeah.
I would sort of like, yeah, like be a little bit more assertive in certain situations. But I do think the last sort of like 4 or 5 years, I actively try and like in a situation, if something is like chaotic or there's a lot going on and you maybe want to say something, I just think I do try and just take a step back and
Yeah.
just because a lot of the time it doesn't get you anywhere. It often just gets you into trouble. And maybe I've learned that over the years.
I think
But yeah,
it's so wonderful to have
yeah,
discovered that about yourself, to realize the importance
yeah,
of looking after yourself, because
yeah,
life's tough, isn't it? Life is
yeah,
hectic, and
yeah.
if you can have little mechanisms in place just to protect yourself, it's so important, isn't it?
Definitely. And I sort of tap into that mindset. And I find it difficult with sort of my dancing and my yoga because they have a lot of like similarities, but they're very different mindsets. So obviously, like when you're dancing, it's more competitive. You've got that competitive mind if I'm at an
Yeah.
audition or, and oftentimes very stressful if I'd have to do like a reblock or say if like our dance captain Cal had to do something really quick, you have to turn that mind on. Whereas a lot of the time my mind's in yoga mode and it's very zen and calm and easy. So I do find sometimes I have to find that balance between the two. But like you just said, it's having those mechanisms and skills that you have to sort of do every day to sort of be in that mindset, no matter what situation you're put in. So it probably comes from that really, a lot of like brain training.
But that's so great. And
Yeah.
what sources do you use to help yourself? Having qualified as a yoga and Pilates teacher, Megan, do you use the sources that were given to you during the training, or are you continually learning? Are you continually moving yourself?
I definitely do tap into, obviously I've learned a lot over the last couple of years about, especially with the yoga side of it, about more mental things, a lot of meditation. But no, I'm constantly there's always constantly something new coming out that like people are trying and they say, oh, it's the best thing for you. And I'm always, you can sell me anything. I'm like, okay, great. Yeah, I'll have a go. I'm very easily influenced. So, but for me, meditation has been, I'd say, the thing that's helped me on my journey and has definitely calmed me as a person and
Yeah.
made me a lot more mindful. I'd say definitely just doing like, I started by just doing like 5 minute meditations, just like little guided meditations. And I think that's the best way to start because often you don't know how to access that part of your sort of your brain. So having someone actually guide you through it is a lot easier. But like now I might just put a little bit of calming music on and I can sort of do that myself without having to have someone guide me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say that's definitely a big one for me.
And if life is getting a bit overwhelming, help is
Mm.
there. I'm alcohol free now for over a year, and it was my first panto actually when I was alcohol free when I worked with you, Megan. I had so much energy.
Yeah,
It was
you did.
wonderful just to feel great and present.
Yeah.
But even being alcohol free and being able to cope with life better, I'm feeling like I need a little bit more help because
Mm.
regardless, life is tricky and tough, and there are
Yeah.
day-to-day issues that we all need to overcome.
Mm.
And that's kind of why, as well, that I wanted to have a lovely chat to you, because the beauty of yoga and Pilates, it's a calming, helpful
Yeah.
device, isn't it? Helpful interest in modern day
Yeah.
life. And just wondered if you could just tell us the benefits of how it might help somebody like me who is alcohol free just
Hmm.
to feel a bit more grounded, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'd say definitely more yoga. It's mainly so with yoga and Pilates, it's all based around the breath as well. Especially more yoga based. The breathing, there's so many breathing techniques that you can learn throughout yoga practice. I think when people think of yoga, they just think of, oh, a downward dog or like,
Yeah.
balancing on your head. And that obviously is an aspect to it. But I think yoga as a whole isn't just about the movements. It's everything else. It's the breathing, it's the meditation, it's the mind. So yeah, I definitely think people that struggle sort of in any, like you said, life just happens sometimes. And no
Yeah.
matter how calm of a person you are or how many skills you have, I think the benefits that personally I've seen in myself is definitely being able to tap into that when it is chaos. Also, like the things with yoga, it's great physically for your body as well. Using that breath, linking the movement with the breath. It's great for toning and strengthening, and also great like jointy.
Right.
I think that's why a lot of dancers use yoga and Pilates because it's so like a dream on your joints, like compared to like
Yeah.
running and weightlifting and things that are really heavy. It's such a slowier movement and it's a lot easier on our joints. But yeah, more like benefits, I'd say mentally for me anyway. I feel like if I'm in a good mindset with my practice, I definitely
Yeah.
sleep a lot better. It's got a lot of actual health benefits like better blood flow and heart health and even like brain functioning through breath work. It is honestly a minefield, like the amount of
Yeah.
benefits there are. But yeah, I think everyone probably, if you've got a good practice, feel different things from it. They're just sort of things that I've personally firsthand experienced.
And interestingly, in the world of sport as well, you see a lot of
Um,
teams using yoga as part of their training schedule.
yeah.
It's as you say, it seems so good on the joints, doesn't it?
It is. Yeah, a lot of I actually got asked. I didn't end up doing it. I think I was away and we ended up not working out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was just surprised at sort of it was like a group of like, lads, like really laddie lads in like their 30s and they're like football and their manager, they probably were, they was like, probably like, oh God, I don't want to do this. Like, this girly thing but then their manager was like, you have no idea like how hard this is. And like he messaged me and was like, I'd really love you to come in and like give them a yoga class. And I was like, oh God. But yeah, it is, like you said, for I think a lot of people are realizing that now,
Yeah.
because yoga's just become so popular in like our country and especially like across America as well and like
Yeah.
more Western countries that it has got so many benefits on people that even do the most active, aggressive sports like rugby, football.
Yeah.
It's like that calming, not only for your body, but also for your mind as well.
Well, it's funny because I remember my mum going, I think it would be every Tuesday to her yoga class, and
Oh,
I'd be like, Mum,
really?
why are you wearing a black leotard? And, it was like, what is this yoga world? Because
Yeah.
there wasn't too much awareness about it.
Oh,
And almost, I think still, a lot of
mm,
men my age might think yoga has that going to
yoga.
benefit me. But
Yeah,
increasingly, it's so beneficial, isn't it? That
it is.
and
Yeah.
and when you teach, do you have people of all levels in their yoga experience in life?
Yeah, definitely. I always love it when like men come to my classes. I think it's like you said, like it's been such a women sort of hobby or sport for a long, long time. And I think when I see like men joining, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, it's so nice to see that people that men don't just think it's like they're just touching your toes and like just like
Yeah.
messing around on a mat. But yeah, definitely. I think all the classes that I try and teach, I like to keep it all accessible for everyone. There's obviously elements to classes that I teach that are a little bit more advanced. I always like to give sort of beginner level options. But yeah, in my classes, I get ranges from, people younger than me or people like my mum comes sometimes. She might not want me to tell her age, but she's just turned 60. I don't care.
Hey,
Everyone can
that's
know.
good.
Yeah, and
I
she's
think I
like she
met her at
loves
Christmas.
it.
She's looking
But
good.
yes, she is. She's great. But she's always had a very sporty background as well.
Yeah.
She was a swimmer, so she's very active. Yeah, a lot of women in their 60s. I do a Pilates class as well at a gym, and a lot of ladies there. They all make me laugh because every week I say, "Does anyone have like any new injuries?" And they're all like, "Oh, where do we start?" Like because obviously they're all like of a retired age sort of
Yeah.
thing and but they're so good and they do it and they go to the gym they're at every class and it's honestly I feel like inspired by them when I see them because
That's
I
so
think
great.
yeah of being a certain age and but they get up and they want to be active and be better for like their grandkids and their own health and well-being and I think God I hope that like touch wood I get to that age and that I'm as lucky as they are to be able to do it. But yeah, you see a vast range of people and ages, to be fair, in my classes.
But how wonderful that your clients, Megan, they thrive off that sense of community as well. And
Yeah.
it's so lovely for them. I mean, people can be lonely, they can have lovely families, but just how wonderful that group of people get together, and they must really get so much from your class and yourself. And that must be lovely for you to see how you're helping people.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, every studio that I teach at, it really is they're communities. They really do. They see each other in the class, and they probably didn't know each other until they all started going. And you see they get chatting, and then say someone new might come in, and everyone's so welcoming in all the spaces that I teach in, which is so nice. And they welcomed me when I first started teaching as well. So it's nice to have that community, like you said. If a lot of people might live alone, or they might, not have a sense of a friendship group, or they might be new to the area or anything, and they come together in sort of a thing like yoga or Pilates or whatever fitness you do, and they really, become part of something, part of a group. And it's nice that I get to sort of witness that and be a part of it as well.
It's so great, and I'm sure they love coming to see you every week, Megan. Is there a real importance on creating a calm atmosphere there?
Yeah, definitely with yoga. I always like to set the show up before I go. I like to burn some incense and use essential oils, things like that, nice music. And I think it's almost like a place people can come if they've had a rubbish day, or they're just, maybe going through something, and it's a place they can come and they can really tune into their bodies, tune into their minds, and hopefully leave feeling a lot more like. It's funny when you see people, the aura of people when they leave, they're just like, it's calmer voice. It's like, they're like, oh, I needed that, or God, I had a bad day at work today, like that'll help me sleep. Or and for me, that one, I had a girl, I think she's a doctor, and she said, oh, my practice was so busy today, and she said I wasn't going to come because I had a headache, and she said, honestly, I will go home and sleep for 10 hours. She's like, that was just what I needed. And I thought, I was packing away, and I thought, that is sort of why I do it, to make people feel like that.
And I guess you're unlocking a lot of people's anxiety and stresses that they build up during the day, aren't you?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the reason why I sort of became into yoga, because I was suffering a lot with anxiety and just overthinking and not being able to sort of get out of my own head. I had a friend introduce me to yoga, and honestly, it changed the game from there. And for me, I thought, if I can do that for one person, help them just let go of their day, even doesn't even have to be as big as sort of dealing with an anxiety disorder. I can even just a small portion of that to help someone else. That's why I wanted to sort of get into the teacher training side of it.
That's so beautiful, Megan. And increasingly, the number of people I speak to on the podcast and in life, our generation, my generation, just how many people are suffering from anxiety, and you just don't know. And if you can just talk to somebody, you talk to your friend, I talk to my friends and my family and read my partner. I've had some crippling times, but just finding somebody to talk to is so important, isn't it?
For sure. Yeah. I think at the time when I was sort of dealing with it, I found I didn't want to talk, and I understand why it takes them a lot, because you think everyone, my sort of mentality was, everyone's got bigger problems than me. Like, this is just, I don't want to be putting on anyone else. And I think that a lot about situations, I never want to put on my family and my friends, but once you talk to people, they're like, why didn't you mention this earlier? And I'm very lucky, as you are, that I got, my family, I've got a very close family, close group of friends. And as soon as you get it off your chest, you're like, it wasn't that big of a deal. It's like, it's okay. And like having that reassurance. But yeah, I definitely use yoga especially to tap into those things I've learned over the years. And that for me really does help with that.
That's so great. And you mentioned in your class, Megan, play some nice music. And even if people can't get to one of your classes or a yoga class, or even aren't well enough physically or mentally to try and exercise or go for a walk, just sometimes just some lovely calming music for five, it can just take you away from whatever you might be worried about.
100%. I think music, I think for most people is sort of like a really big calming factor. And yeah, even just listening to, if just sitting on the couch, popping a headphone in, finding a nice comfortable space and just listening, taking some deep breaths. Like you said, if you can't do the physical aspect of like yoga or any sort of exercise, yeah, I think there's so much in music that can really benefit your mindset as well.
And sometimes, if you can, just having a good old boogie as well.
Oh
I
yeah,
love it.
well,
Bit of a
yeah.
bit
You
of a
do.
kitchen dance.
Oh, I love a
Woohoo!
kitchen dance. Yeah, put in like, you know, like I'll say Alexa, she'll start talking to me in a minute. So, but yeah, like whacking that on and just having a little dance. I did it with Lola the other day because my dog, and like she sort of looks at me like I'm a bit crazy for a second, and then she sort of gets into it and she'll like jump up and we'll have a little
Oh
dance.
gosh, I'm trying to teach
But
Harry,
yeah,
our little cocker spaniel, a bit of hip
oh
hop.
yeah.
So,
Oh, Lola's a cocker spaniel.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
But I don't think she's got much hip hop in her, bless her. She's on a diet. She
Well,
needs a bit of
I
practice.
definitely have zero hip hop in me, but maybe
Yeah,
Harry
Ben,
might.
I've seen your proud Mary. You've got you
Okay. I'm so intrigued to
hmm
hear the moment.
Yeah.
We'll get onto your dancing career, Megan, which is fantastic. But also that moment within that career when
hmm
you thought, I've got to branch out here, use my own
hmm
personal skills and personality to move forward.
Yeah.
What was the trigger that thought, I'm going to get my teaching qualifications here in yoga?
To be honest, I'm a very much a person, I don't like to plan
Yeah,
massively ahead, especially in like my earlier 20s. I think I was very much, I took sort of every contract as it came. I felt very
yeah,
lucky to be doing to dance, having been paid to dance. I was like, what? Like, I can do that? Like,
yeah, yeah,
but when I got introduced to yoga, I've been doing it a lot, but properly introduced to it when I was probably about 22. And then, so yeah, like 6 years ago. And then it was kind of always in the back of my head. One of my friends did her teacher training. And I sort of thought something I'd always want to do. And then lockdown happened.
yeah.
Obviously, I got sent home from America at that time, and I was going to do it online, my yoga teacher training, because I thought, well, it's a great way to sort of use this time.
Yeah.
But I'd always had this sort of dream of doing it in Bali. I'd never even been to Bali, but I'd known a lot of people that have, and I was always looking at it online. And so I thought, do you know what? I'm going to just hold off. And I'm a big believer in like timing and everything
Yeah.
happening for the right reasons. And I think there was a reason why I didn't do it at that point. And then I went back to America and then came back here. And I was sort of in a bit of an in between thing with dance jobs. I think I was sort of done with working on ships.
Because
I sort
cruise life, it's
of
a hard existence, isn't it,
it
Megan?
is. And I loved it, like I said, when I first got the job in, I was 21.
Yeah.
So I was like, get me out. I was getting to go to Miami, and I weren't bothered about sharing a little cabin with a random girl. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm in like not Bali, I was like in the Caribbean. I was like, I'm good.
Living the
Like,
life, yeah.
yeah, but I think obviously the more you do it and the older I got, I felt like I was like, oh, I'm 27. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to be, my friends at home was like settling down and with a baby, and I was living in a random place with like random people. But I think it just got to that point where I felt like I just wanted I'd got everything out of sort of that job, and I just kind of wanted to try something else. And I was at home. I'd just done Panto, the year earlier, so it was Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
Just done that job, and I was kind of not wanting to go back on ships, and I was a bit indecisive what I wanted to do. And my mum literally said to me, "Why don't you do your yoga teacher training now? Like, this is the perfect time. Like, the world's opened back up again. You know, we're
Yeah.
free to travel, and you've not got any work commitments. Like." So I was like, oh, okay, like, so I booked it. Literally, I emailed this company that I'd always wanted to do it with. They was like, we've got the course starting it was in like 2 weeks. They was like, we have no space on it. I was like, okay, anyway. And I was on the treadmill, and I remember I hated the treadmill, but I just remember thinking, I just need to run. And I was running, and I remember saying, I just need a sign. Like, what am I meant to do? Like, I need to show me a sign. I don't know who I was talking to, but, and actually, no word of a lie, about 30 seconds later, an email popped up from this same woman saying, hi, Megan, we've just had a cancellation on the course. Do you want the space? I literally was like rang my mom and was like, oh my God. And she was like, this is meant to be.
Yeah. Isn't it
So
funny
like,
how you really want something, how the world and life and yourself can just align, and it was that moment, wasn't it, for you?
Yeah, for sure. And I was like, if this isn't a sign that I need to do this. So then I literally, I booked a flight and went to Bali 10 days later. It was funny, I got there and all these girls were like, oh yeah, I've had this course booked like 2 years, like a year and a half, like 6 months. And they was like, when did you book it? I was like, 10 days ago.
Yeah.
They were like, what? I was like, yeah, it was a very quick thing.
But what I love, Megan, is that spontaneity, and you must have gone into that training with such zest, and this is time, like, I know deep down that this is right for me. Yeah,
and I'm quite a spontaneous person. I kind of like to live a little bit on the edge because I think life happens and sometimes you can't. I think I've planned in the past and you think sometimes it don't work out anyway. So I like to sort of do things a little bit spur of the moment, and I'd say that's definitely probably the most spontaneous thing I've ever done. But yeah, I ended up out there. I was only meant to go for I think the course was 4 weeks. So I was like, okay, I'll be back in a month, and I was there like 4 months.
Gosh.
I know, but I feel like I needed to get that out of my system. I needed to do a bit of traveling, and even though I travelled with work, it's different traveling when you're not on a job. So yeah, that was how it came about, really.
Well, I really admire that bravery to go and do that, and it just goes to show, doesn't it, if you know deep down in your core that something is right, just to give it a go, because nothing awful can happen. You're always going to learn something from a situation, aren't you?
Exactly. It's always either something good or a lesson, sort of things. And I thought that I was like, well, I'm going to go. I'm going to come out with my teacher training. I'm going to visit this beautiful place. And I thought that would be kind of it. But really, I met so many people that I didn't expect to meet. And then we ended up going traveling after. And it became like this real big life-changing experience, really. And then at the end of it, obviously, I did have my teacher training as well on top of that. So I got to come home and then get into that.
Do you think moving to London as a younger person, Megan, that kind of installed some confidence in you to take a few chances?
Yeah,
you moved to Performers, didn't you, to train?
Yes. So I went to Performers when I went at 18. I know a lot of people go at 16. And I at 16, I don't think was confident enough. I was always a very confident kid, but I think I needed to be 18. But yeah, like upping and leaving every single person you know. I remember my mum and dad dropped me off, and I remember thinking, you're leaving me in this random town we've never even been to. My mum was like, I don't think I can. She was like, I think that's for them, obviously, it was so hard as well. I remember as soon as I started college, I was like, all these people are like me. But yeah, I think doing that at a young age, moving so far away from home, obviously I'm based up north, so it was like 5 hours. And I wouldn't get to come home a lot. I'd come home for Christmas and the summer, but it definitely gave me a lot of confidence. And I always think when I can't do something, I do take myself back to being 18 and thinking, oh my God, I cannot do this. And I did it, and it worked out the most amazing experience. So yeah, I definitely think doing that at a young age has definitely shaped me as a person.
I remember my mum dropping me off. I went to Middlesex University in North London, Megan. This is a long time ago. When would it have been? Like 90, when did this, 92, 93, I think it was. So years and years ago. Okay. You weren't even born then, were you?
I wasn't. I was just about to say that.
You're too polite,
I was like,
man.
thinking I would have been -3.
But yeah, I remember my mum sobbing and just dropped me off in this random place. But I tell you what, likewise, I look back and think, God, when you're in the unknown, but you can only learn from that, can't you?
Yeah. There's no, the only way is up, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, we moved up to Liverpool, gosh, September now.
Yeah.
And my mum, she gave me some boxes. Like, I think all mums keep something in their garage, don't they? Where, as creatives, we're moving here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah,
so I think
you've always got a box.
Yeah, mum had the Ben box, in her garage for years. And anyway, I went to see her and, finally arrived in the boot of my car, covered in dust, got home, opened it. And I found a diary from when I did the National Youth Theatre when I was 15, Megan.
Oh, my God.
And talk about green around the gills. And Rita, my girlfriend, could not stop laughing. And she was just like, you were so green around the gills, because it's like, I survived the Northern Line. Gosh, what a busy area of London it is. And she was like, how old are you? I was like, 15. It's my first time in London. But it was just so lovely to kind of see how far I've come,
How naive you are as well.
Oh my goodness.
And it's almost like a proud moment looking back and thinking, God, like, I did that.
But you do, I think you do build confidence, and it does help. But
definitely.
The diary, my goodness. And I think
what else is in the box?
Good question. Actually, there's some over there in the office here. I've got my cricketing trophies, my football trophies. There was, believe it or not, I used to be a half decent footballer. So there was a letter from Aston Villa Football Club inviting me for a trial. So I actually had trials. Believe it or not, can you imagine Widow Twanky in goal for Aston Villa?
I'm just picturing your legs in that Twanky costume. In goal with the heel.
My big Kenny Everett hands. But no, it was just so lovely. And I think it's maybe quite a good little point. If you do have, something just that reminds you of, when you were younger and starting out full of hope, it's just lovely, isn't it, to tap in and see how far you've come in life,
Yeah, but we all have one of those boxes. I've moved around like any performer so much, and my mum, bless her, she always, now I've got like a place of my own, she's like, so those boxes in my loft, she's like, are you ever going to get those?
You before London, I've worked with them a lot. I think they're stick. Barbara Jackson Theatre Arts Centre now. That you teach there now, but that must have been a fantastic grounding for you as well. I think they make so many people happy there. I love their ethos.
Oh, I know. So I actually didn't join Barbara Jackson until I was about, I think I was about 11. I went to another dance school, but Barbara Jackson's was always the dance school. Like, it still is, like, in our area. And even now, like, God, they've done so well. They're even known, like, countrywide. But I remember always sort of looking up to a Barbara Jackson's. And then, I moved dance schools with a group of my friends when I was about 10, 11. And it was like, small fish, like, what is it, big, like small fish big pond. It was like, wow, I'm here with like these girls that were incredible. There was so many of them, there were so many teachers. And so I always felt, I was speaking to one of the teachers the other week about this, I always felt so privileged to be dancing at that school. And and even now, like, being able to go back, it was only last year, Miss Lorraine, as we all know and love, asked me because she knew I was home, and she sort of said, would you want to come in and do some classes? So I teach baby ballet, which is, I just love them. They're
Is that
so
adorable?
cute.
That must be wonderful.
And what I love as well, like, you're probably their first dance teacher ever, and like, I remember my first dance teacher, and it's like starting them off on that journey, whether they do it for a year or they make a career out of it, you don't know, but it's seeing them being at that age and they just love to dance. Like, they're not bothered about who's looking at them, what they look like, and it makes me feel like, like, this is why we do it.
That's so. I bet the parents of the children you teach, Megan, you must make them feel happy, because they know that their children are in safe hands and they're going to have a lovely experience with you.
So it's sort of like a full circle thing at the minute, like being able to be on this end of it as well as sort of doing other things and teaching. It's a different ball game though, teaching than dancing, and I feel like I thought I was quite strict. And I actually said to the kids a couple of weeks ago, some of the older ones, I said, do you think I'm strict? And they all was like, what? I'm like, no. I was a bit offended. I said, really? I said, it's quite like assertive and strict. They were no, you're the least strict
Oh
person. I'm
my
like, oh.
goodness.
But I was like, at the same time, they were like, no, but we like that. Like, you're funny and like you make us laugh. And
Yeah.
I'll
They
ask them like
warm to
silly
you.
things. And
They warm
yeah,
to you.
so I honestly was like, I was a bit in denial. I thought I was like, quite, but I'm not apparently. They just laugh.
Hey,
But
laugh. If you can make people laugh, that's a
I
lovely
know, yeah.
quality.
I thought it's just not in me to be like strict and like
I know. Well, I think
assertive.
whenever I try to be strict,
I
people
was like,
just
yeah, it's
laugh
not
at
like
me,
you.
especially Rita.
Yeah,
She's
I
like,
bet,
"What?"
yeah.
She's like, "What are you doing?
What?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you dancing hip hop in the kitchen with Harry?" Oh, amazing! I like to ask all my guests what's on the dinner menu. Will you have time to eat tonight?
Oh, do you know what? Sometimes what I do, I'll make double. So if I know I'm
Ah,
teaching late, I'll like meal prep a couple of nights.
hey, I
So
like it.
yeah, last night I made something, so I'll have that again tonight. It's a prawn mango stir fry. I found it on
Hello,
TikTok. Yeah, I'm
El
obsessed with
Tickus
TikTok.
Tockus.
Tikkas Tacos is the one.
That sounds right on.
Yeah, it's really nice. I had it last night. Just a little bit of mango prawns. It's got like a bit of pepper, get a pepper and some like the snap peas, bit of rice, some sauce. But it's
Oh,
like dead easy, just chuck it all in
yeah.
and
Well, you're a busy
but
bee, aren't you? So easy and healthy
yeah,
sounds great.
yeah, I know. What are you having for dinner?
Oh gosh. Well, actually, I'm
Oh,
on Coronation Street today. After we've
stop.
no, after recording this, I'm off to do 2 episodes.
You'll
I
be
think Rita's going to be head chef tonight, so I reckon it'll be like chicken with something.
drunk.
Your classes, Megan, the popularity seems to be rising.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Do you teach set places on set
Yeah.
days?
So it's all sort of on my page, which I'll obviously let people know. But I teach mainly in and around, so I'm based in Blackpool. So
Yeah.
I teach at a couple of different studios. I teach at a studio called Evolve, and then a couple of gyms. There's a few new things coming that's in the next month or so, which is
Yeah.
exciting, and some more spaces. But yeah, it's all sort of on my page. It's all changes, to be honest, and I do a lot of covering. And then obviously it's Barbara Jackson's on Saturday mornings with my little baby ballet and tappers.
Oh, it's so
And then I
great.
also I started doing these yoga events, so they're once a month on a Sunday, but they change every sort of month, but it's always a Sunday. And they're like 2 hours. And that's sort of just like an extensive yoga practice, and we do like a lot of breath work, meditation, and then a yoga class, and that's
Amazing.
also in Blackpool. But again, it's all sort of over on my Instagram.
Great. And what's the best Instagram for people to have a nose at?
If people are interested in that, is Your Yoga Gal. Yeah, that's you can sort of find me any spaces that I teach out or any events I'm doing. It's all sort of posted on.
That's so amazing. It's so
Yeah.
lovely to chat to you in
Oh,
Benji's
it's so nice
Cafe,
to see
Megan.
you,
We had a
Ben.
wonderful time over Christmas, but just
We
I
did.
was in and out of frocks. It's busy. You're on and off stage. So actually to sit
Yeah,
down and
and
have a
have a
lovely
proper,
chat and find out.
yeah.
And also, I'd love to thank you. You've given me so many tips and little mechanisms I can use when I'm feeling just a little bit overwhelmed with the situation, just to help
Yeah.
calm. And so I thank you for that. I really admire
Oh,
your
thank you.
work balance and the joy you give people, because your classes must be helping so many people. I think that's
Oh,
fantastic.
I hope so. Well, yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been so nice to have a proper catch up and a chat with you. You always make me laugh, Ben, so I appreciate that.
Ah, well, you did always laugh at my gag. So anyone who does that,
I did.
I'm just like, yes, I love
It'd be
it.
like 9 a.m. school show, and we'd be doing warm up, and everyone would be like half asleep, and you'd turn up and be doing some sort of hip hop moves in the corner on your own, or trying to pretend to stretch, and I'd always
Hey, I've been
have a
pretending to
giggle.
stretch in warm-ups for 25 years.
And look, it's got you a lot of places, Ben, so keep it up.
Thanks, Megan. Have a fantastic day.
You
Loads of love.
too.
And
Enjoy the cobbles.
oh, I will. Thanks for joining us in Benji's Cafe.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me in Benjy's Cafe. Isn't Megan great? Make sure you hit follow so every episode gets sent straight to your phone. No booking required. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget, a new episode every Tuesday. In episode 13, I'll be joined by the comedian Steve Royal. Get ready to chuckle. I'll get the kettle on. Have a great day.